And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back after a bit of a hiatus to the Sparkling Tuna Cup number 52. Oh my god, it's been a while. It's been quite some time since we've had a Sparkling Tuna Cup. For those that are curious, we went on a hiatus. We went on a very short hiatus due to DreamHack Dallas, due to EPT Spring, but we are back. We are diving right into things and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ghost River. We have our American Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Holden. Beautiful. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have a newcomer here to our tournaments. We have the German Terran player, the blue Terran. It is CeCi. I'm assuming it's CeCi and not like Keki or something. Well, let's go. But again, it is good to be back. Usually whenever there are major tournaments like, say, Home Story Cup or DreamHack, or maybe some of these other big open tournaments as well, where a lot of players are traveling, a lot of players are going to be maneuvering between locations, we do put our events on hold just to allow this for these events to occur. Same with like open qualifiers, for example, for Stars War 11 or for DreamHacks. We always put our events on hold to make sure that players can focus on some of these other big premier tournaments. So that is why we weren't here last week, but now we're back. Now we are back and we are raring to go. For those that are curious, Sparkling Tuna Cup, the hell is that? Why is there a tuna? There's a story behind it, but this is an open tournament. It is open to all regions, to all shapes, to all sizes, to all races as well. It is open to all. And we do bring together the best of the best from all of those regions out there. Even here, for example, I mean, a big shout to Holden. To be honest, it's very rare. It's very rare for us to get Latin American and North American players. You know, like it happens maybe once a month sort of thing. Like it's a bit of a rarity. The reason for this is because the time slot that we host our event is pretty good for Europe, pretty good for Korea, Southeast Asia, Oceania. Not ideal for the Americas. Like that's the one downside with this time slot is it is 5 a.m. in the morning for Holden. I did ask him earlier. I was like, yo, what time is it? What's going on? Why are you awake right now? He's like, oh, it's 5 a.m. It's like, oh, you're a degen. So whenever we get someone from the Americas, whether it's North or Latin America, I always do praise them because it's like, yo, the passion is real. To play at 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning, you're basically Max, Pax, and Clem. Whenever they play the Americas weeklies, that's who you are. So much love, much appreciation here as we are settling into our first series. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket, as we do delay the CC on the low ground again, it was much more standard opener here from both sides. We're heading towards a Twilight Council open from the side of Holden. Meanwhile, CeCi checking his vision. He did not scout the tech. He's unawares, and this is a big delay on the CC. We have a handful of Marines to defend, but this Adept is not allowing any kind of production, any kind of progress here on the CC until the Hellion and the Marines have arrived. A bit of a misclick here on these rocks as the Marines will not help out. The Hellion does fall, and this is disastrous. DFs, they bust into the main base. They're going for some economic damage. They're going for the Marines. We don't quite commit, actually. We definitely could have, but instead we take things a little bit slower. We play a little bit more conservative here, just maintaining control of the low ground. Likewise, across the map, the scout was successful this time. We have confirmed the blink-based opener, but once again, we do shade in, and CeCi, he is in quite a bit of trouble. This is a massive delay on the expansion. Here we go. This time, Marine's going to be diving down, but now we are up to a Stalker and 2 Adepts. This attacking force is quite substantial this early on. A brutal moment to get supply blocked as well. Things going from bad to worse here for CeCi. I'm hoping we can tie things, or that we can kind of tighten things up here. And there we go. The supply block has been broken. We're getting into our 3-1-1 setup. Adepts continue to threaten that shade. And can we even force a cancel? I mean, that CC is getting low. Oh, the CC is getting very, very low here as CeCi will eventually break out. We're going to have to pull some boys with this. There we go. The boys are being pulled, and we will force this back. Eventually, it's going to cost us a little bit as SCVs and Marines are falling. We're going to lose every single SCV here, but the army gets forced back and we can finally progress that CC. Despite that, though, here come additional Stalkers. Again, we're rallying across the map. Blink is on the way, and Holden is just taking advantage of this early game scenario. Liberator has arrived. That will help, but we can just step outside of the range. we can step outside the Liberation Zone. Hellions are going to be going down one after the other. We do repair that CC, but so many workers have already gone down. Look at the units lost tab. 6, 7 SCVs have fallen. 7 SCVs, 6 Marines, and still we force the one base mining. And there it is. A GG is going to be called. And Holden will take game number 1. GG. Just a really rough start here for CeCi. I mean, there's a couple of different factors involved. One, of course, we did have a bit of a rougher start when it came to dealing with the initial adept. Pooling boys early on is going to be required there to be able to hold on to that low ground, to be able to force back the adept as well of his opponent. But likewise, we're also on Ghost River, right? The rush distance by ground is a little bit shorter as well, and when you're up against a pro player like this, and especially on one of these smaller maps, your early game has to be on point. Your early game needs to be tight here. Otherwise, as you can see, things can go from bad to worse very, very quickly. So I wish the best of luck to CeCi here, again, as his debut on Sparkling Tuna Cup. I'm ready here for a bit of a more back and forth, as we're going to be loading into Oceanborn as our next game. Let's go. It's catching up. There's a K1 versus Papa Panda match going on right now. I know. I was very tempted to jump on K1 versus Papa Panda. It looked so good. It was a blast from the past. At the same time, I also wanted to give some love to some of our other players here as well. So yeah, I know. We casted K1 last time. There was opportunity there. But spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our red Protoss player from Land of the Americas representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Holden. Leading the series 1-0, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the German Terran player, the blue Terran, representing himself, currently teamless. It is CeCi. Este pecoeta. Calm down, papi. Calm down. Ay. Shaking my head. Also, Shema, welcome everyone in the chat. Welcome. Hope you're all doing well. The tuna. It's beautiful. As we settle into Oceanborn, again, this time we're going to be paying a little bit more attention to the openers of our players. Was kind of just going over the event itself earlier. Again, if you want to support the tournament, there is a Matcherino page, ! Matcherino in the chat. If you are interested in helping to boost the prize pool of this tournament, you can do so with some of your own monetary input, if you wish. So I was trying to find a way to word it. But there's a Matcherino if you're interested. Otherwise, enjoy the event. Hope you enjoyed the tournament. Again, we'll go over the bracket once we wrap up with this series, once we catch up with what has been going on. But now it is going to be what looks to be a rack expand. Single gas opener, racks into expand. And this makes sense. After what happened in game 1, we're like, never again. We're going for the CC on the high ground, not on the low ground, so a much safer expansion here for CeCi to make sure that he doesn't get abused the same way that he was in game number 1. So we should actually be able to expand and get into a more robust economy this time. Meanwhile, across the map, gate expand into Cybercore, gate Cybercore expand here from Holden, working towards Warp Gate, working towards additional adepts. We're going to move out across the map and wreak some havoc. Steel Wall cost. How many points is that? It's been a while. I didn't even know the. Oh, it's like you don't even need to know the maps. It's fine, buddy. Ay. As the Reaper does end up getting across the map, and hey, we're gonna be able to get some damage done. One probe is gonna get picked off. Not a bad start. The tech was thrown down behind the mineral line, and it's going to be a Twilight Council once again at a Holden. Unfortunately, the Reaper was busy getting worker damage and did not quite confirm the tech of choice, so CeCi is a little bit in the dark for the time being. Meanwhile, across the map, the Adept has arrived, but this time the CC is safe and sound, should not be disrupted, should not be delayed, not the same way that it was in Game 1. This time, again, a much more comfortable start here for CeCi. I mean, it still has to do with the Adept at some point, but, you know, still comfortable. Second Adept has arrived as well. Going to be applying some pressure. We're going to be rallying these Marines a little bit further back to make sure we don't bleed any out against this Adept. And once we get into our additional Marines and Hellions, we should be able to shut this down and force this back. As we're entering our 1-1-1, and Holden sees everything. He does confirm the entire build, does confirm the 1-1-1, and does also support those Hellions as they move out. Speaking of, with additional Hellions, with these Marines, we can force back the Adepts, and we should soon expand. There we go. Expansion is going to be now on the way. And bunker as well on the low ground. Forcing this back. And behind this, I'm going to keep an eye on the gateway count here, as we do see Holden trying to start a step back, and does get a Hellion. Nice control there out of Holden. But across the map, we have additional gateways on the way. One gateway is done, sorry, 2 gates are done and 2 more on the way. It's going to be 4 gates Blink Stalkers out of Holden. A very aggressive follow-up here from our Protoss player. And, oh, this is going to be a tough hold for CeCi. Now, thankfully, he's already working on tanks. We have our first tank on the way. Interesting, going for a Liberator follow-up. Meanwhile, Marines are getting picked off. We need to dive into the bunker. Oh, we will. Bunker is loaded up, but a nice pick off from Holden shaves off some of those Marines. Liberator is going to be harassing across the map, and we need as many tanks as possible. We're going to have 1 tank on the low ground, a tank on the high ground is going to be required. Unfortunately, CeCi, okay, there we go. He did confirm the tech structure, did confirm the Twilight Council, but he doesn't have eyes on how many gateways there are, doesn't know how aggressive Holden is being right now, so it's worth playing this out safely. Unfortunately, again, because he's working with some missing information, we don't actually know that it would be ideal to have like a bunker on the high ground as well, our tank set up on the high ground and getting ready for a blink into the main, as Holden is going for that once we get across the map, once we get high ground vision. Blink is done. We're diving into the main base. Tank should be getting in position, but even if it does, there's nothing to support. We need something here to support this tank, otherwise it will get picked off. Same time, Hellion getting across the map, trying to get some scanning information. Liberator as well. We have confirmed the gateways. We know. We have seen everything we need to. We need to piece it all together here, as Holden is waiting for another warp in. Liberator is shut down. And where exactly is Holden headed? For now, we have 3 tanks on the high ground. We dive on the low ground. First tank goes down. Boys are being pulled. The bunker is holding strong, and we do repair just in time. Whew. The repair does go off. 1 tank goes down, but that's a lot of damage here to these Stalkers. It took a lot of tank shots to the face. Again, I was expecting a blink into the main, but no, we went for the natural instead. Speaking of, now Holden rotates around. The unsiege! No, the tank does unsiege, but again, very little support here. The tank goes down. We're going for Stim. Stim is going to be denied, and the 4-gate Blink Stalker is under full effect. CeCi having a hard time keeping up. Boys are being pulled. I mean, the initial defense here on the low ground was pretty good, actually. It was pretty impressive what CeCi was able to pull off there on the low ground, but unfortunately, the main base was exposed. It was vulnerable. It was compromised. And now we can just start a step forward, focus down all the Marauders, focus down another tank. There was a big tank shot going off. The Stalkers are getting very low, but we've got an 18 SCV kills already. Did I say 18? 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 workers go down. Nice juggling here from Holden. Eventually this is going to be forced back, but alas, behind this, Holden is working on a 3rd base. We have Charge on the way, another Gateway Explosion, Forge for +1. We have quite a lot in production here for Holden, just working on that next step, and CeCi is in a rough position here. Now, the scary thing about CeCi's position is not just all the worker kills, not just all the worker deaths, but the tank counts. With a lower tank count, we can't really push out. If we had 3, 4 tanks right now, we could just evacuate all these Marines from the bunker. We could pull the boys. We could just go for it all in. We could just go for a 2-base all in and go for a big backstab. Oh no! But we've lost every tank. Every tank has gone down. 1 just now spawning in. But alas, like, this means that we don't really have any pushing potential. We don't really have a way to punish Holden, as we're stuck at her. Remember, Stim was denied earlier, so Stim hasn't finished researching either. Without these upgrades, without these tech units, we're just stuck at home. CeCi is going to be stuck at home. Across the map, Holden going to be expanding, taking another base. Reinforcing with some Stalkers. Prism still being active as well, going for the mineral line. And this has just been a very aggressive game here for Holden. Even for CeCi, as he's just been stuck on the back foot trying to defend against the pushes here of Holden still contained. There's no reason for Holden to dive in. Like, he's got the Observer covering the entire main and natural, and we're now up to 2 tanks. We now have Stim, and we have a decent bio army. Now would not be the time for Holden to test his luck, as we get the salvage on the bunker. So Holden needs to respect this. He's going to pick away at the army and get the hell out of here, as we do force the Stim. And at this point, I would like to see us pulling the boys. At this point, we're committed. Like, we're moving out with 2 tanks. We're moving out with everything we have, leaving our bases exposed or just with nothing left at home. Even if we did, we have charge. Charge is done. High Templar coming in. Storm has completed. Yeah, we have Storm. And speaking of massive storms on the army, oh my god, we annihilate the bio. And there's almost nothing left. CeCi being forced back. GG gets called. And Holden will take this series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A solid series here out of Holden. Game 1 was a little bit unfortunate when it came to the early game aggression, and CeCi just wasn't able to get into his game. But game number 2 was a little bit more back and forth. Again, CeCi, he was able to at least have an initial decent defense, was able to get his natural base up and running. Unfortunately, he was not quite prepared for the blink into the main. That's the scary thing about 4-gate blink, is that you have options, you have maneuverability. You can choose to hit the natural, you can hit the main base, you can rotate around. Like, it's a very mobile army, and it can be difficult to keep up with the mobility of the Protoss player. You need to be ready ahead of time. That's why, specifically against 4-gate blink, you see a lot of Terran players preemptively throw down not just a bunker on the low ground, but also a bunker on the high ground as well, just to make sure that there's something to help support and help protect those tanks. Because tanks on their own doesn't take too many volleys to focus fire and shut them down. As we saw, like, they can be 1 or 2 shot depending on how many stalkers you have. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I would love to say and love to see this to be a learning experience for CeCi. Again, just like how he adapted after game 1, I would like to believe that he can adapt after game number 2 as well. And hey, that's something that you can gain from this. You know, shout out to CeCi. CeCi is more of an amateur player, less so of a pro. So yeah, because of that, especially when you enter some of these big tournaments with some more advanced players, you can definitely use those replays or use these games to kind of learn and improve and adapt as well. So do wish your best to CeCi moving forward. As we're getting into our next series, we're going to be following Holden into the round of 16. Exclamation mark B. It's now time to look at the bracket. It is now time